Well, hey there. I want to give a big shout out to all my Los Ranchos friends. All my Patty Aguilar first graders, all my second graders in Mrs. Rowe's class, all my third graders, Mrs. Gomes' class and Mrs. Greer's class, fourth graders in Mrs. Block's class, fifth graders, all my fifth graders in Mrs. Johnson's class, my fifth graders in Mr. Olson's class, my sixth graders in Madison's class, sixth graders in Mr. K's class. I miss you guys. Man, I miss you so much. These are troubled times that we're having these days. There's some things going on out there that are kind of confusing for me. And if they're confusing for me, they're probably confusing for you too. But the one thing I do know, is that each and every one of you are doing your best to make sure that we get through these times, that we get through them safely, that we listen to what our adult helpers are telling us, our parents, our teachers, our friends. And I'm trusting in you. I'm trusting in you to do the right thing. Because you know what? This is only going to make us stronger. We're going to be better for it. We're going to move forward. And I feel a tear coming to my eye because I think about you guys. And I miss you. So I thought it'd be good to have something familiar. I just wanted to give a shout out, and I wanted to put on my hat because I haven't had a chance to wear my hat for a long time. And I'm telling you, hats get old just like me. So I wanted the chance to put my hat back on and to maybe think about a trip to the Brer Woods. Think about a trip back to see what's up with the Brer Fox and the Brer Rabbit. And y'all know that Brer Rabbit was a tricky little rabbit. He was a rabbit that would do things that no other rabbit could do or would do. No, that's a fact. That is a fact. Now, if y'all have heard this story before, well, that's okay. Because stories are for telling, and they're for retelling, and then they're for telling again. And I would hope that if I tell this story to y'all, that one day you'll tell it to somebody else. Well, I gotta tell you, old Brer Fox, he was pretty mad at that rabbit. He was mad at that rabbit because that rabbit got up every single day, and thought about how he could go and mess with that fox. It sure was something. It was a funny thing. And that old Brer Rabbit, he just couldn't get enough of fooling Brer Fox. Well, there was one morning, yes, there was, that old Brer Fox, he woke up in the morning and he had himself an idea. He thought of an idea that he could actually trap that rabbit and he could get rid of him once and for all. So he grabbed himself a big old pot and he headed down to the tar pit, and down at the tar pit he started shoveling, using a big stick, all this tar into that pot. And then he went by the local hardware store and he picked himself up some turpentine, and he went in with that turpentine and that big pot full of tar, and he put the turpentine in there and he started to heat it up. And then he started to stir it, and he stirred it round and round and round, and it got all sticky, it did. It got all sticky and mushy, and then he began to take it out of the pot real careful like, so he didn't stick it to himself. And he started to build this contraption, this little contraption that he built, and he called it a tar baby. Yeah, nobody had ever seen the likes of it before. Here was this tar baby that he had fixed it up real nice and good, and he gave it some little legs and a little body and some little arms and little hands and little feet, gave it a little bit of head, gave it some eyeballs, and put a big smile on its face. And then he dressed it up all Sunday best, like put a little hat on its head, put a little vest on it, and oh boy, that tar baby was looking pretty good. Well, old Brer Fox then, he took that tar baby, he did. He took that tar baby and he headed down to the big road. Because he knew every day Brer Rabbit was taking that big road. So he went on down there and he put that tar baby right smack in the middle of that road, and then he crawled down low in the bushes, and he laid low down underneath the bushes, and he was looking up at the big road. Yes, sir, he was looking right up at the big road. And he was waiting, and he didn't have to wait long, Because before you know it, lippity clippity, skippity bippity, here comes old Brer Rabbit coming down that road singing a song and smiling a smile. Well, Brer Fox, he just laid low where he couldn't be seen, and he waited for that rabbit to come on up. And here comes that rabbit, and he comes right on up to that tar baby, gets pretty close to it, but then he stops. And it looks a little bit surprised, because he'd never seen anything like it before. Well, being the friendly rabbit that he was, he looked at that there tall baby and he said, good morning. It's an awful nice morning this morning, don't y'all think? Well, that tall baby, she just sat there looking dumb. She just sat there looking dumb as you please and not saying a word. Now, Brer Rabbit, he was a little confused by that. So he took another step closer, and old Brer Fox, he's watching real close. He's getting a big grinny smile on his face, but he's trying to stay as quiet as he can. And that rabbit gets a little bit closer to the tar baby, and he says, I said, good morning. It's awful nice weather we're having this morning, don't you think? Well, that tall baby, she just kind of sat there looking sort of dumb. Not saying a word. And Brer Rabbit, he's getting a little confused, and almost confused to the point of getting mad. And old Brer Fox, he's sitting down there in the bushes laying low, looking up at that rabbit, waiting to see what he's going to do next. Well, old Brer Rabbit, he takes one step closer, he does, and he says in his loudest voice, I said, good morning, how y'all doing this morning? That tall baby, she just kind of sat there looking dumb, not doing a darn thing. And that fox was laying down low in the bushes waiting to see what was going to happen next. And then all of a sudden, Brer Rabbit just gets off and he looks that tall baby in the face and he says, if you don't take off that hat and take off that hat right now, I'm going to blip you one. And that old tar baby, she doesn't say a word. And old Brer Fox, he's doing the best he can, laying down low, looking up there, trying to keep from busting up. And Brer Rabbit's turning red in the face, and he starts to wind up his fist, he does. And he starts to wind it up, and he says, you take off that hat. Take it off right now, or I'm going to hit you one, and then blip. He hits him right upside the head. Yes, he did. Hit him right upside the head. And then he started to try to pull his hand away, and it was stuck on the side of the tall baby's head. And the tall baby, well, she just kind of looking dumb. And old Brer Fox, he's laying down low just with a big toothy grin on his face, and he can understand it. His plan is working just the way he wanted it to. And then all of a sudden, Brer Rabbit starts stomping his feet. And he says, you let go of me, and you let go of me right now, or I'm going to hit you with the other hand. And then all of a sudden he begins to wind it up, and blip! And now both of his hands are stuck on the side of the tall baby's head. And he starts to pull, but his hands won't come loose. The tar was too sticky. And old Brer Fox, he's laying down in the bushes looking up, the big toothy grin on his face, and the tall baby, well, she just looking kind of dumb. And then all of a sudden you hear this thump. And old Brer Rabbit, he says, you let loose of me right now, or I'm gonna kick you one. And then all of a sudden he starts to draw back his feet. He draws them way back and blip! He kicks that rabbit right in the belly. He kicks that tall baby right in the belly. And the tall baby, well, she's just sitting there kind of looking dumb. And old Brer Fox, he's laying down in the bushes looking up with a big grin on his face, trying to do everything he can not to say a word. And then there's Brer Rabbit, just red in the face, mad. But now his feet are stuck, and his hands are stuck, and he's a pulling and a jerking and a rolling and trying to get loose of that tar baby, and he can't do it. The tar baby's just looking kind of dumb. And then old Brer Rabbit, he looks at Tar Baby in the eye and he says, if you don't turn me loose, and if you don't turn me loose right now, I'm gonna, and he starts to wind his head up, I'm gonna, and he winds it up some more, I'm gonna butt you to the other side of Mars, and then blip! His head got stuck on the Tar Baby's face, and his hands are stuck on the head, and his feet are stuck on the belly, and the Tar Baby, well, she's just looking kind of dumb, and old Brer Fox, he's laying down low underneath the bushes in a big road, looking up with a big smile on his face, and he doesn't know what to do, and then all of a sudden, he comes walking up on the road, and there's Brer Rabbit rolling around and yelling and screaming and trying to get loose of that Tar Baby, but he just can't do it. And old Brer Fox walks right up and he looks down and he says, "Good morning, Brer Rabbit. You're looking sort of stuck up this morning." Oh, and then he starts to laugh. Oh, the fox starts to laugh. He's laughing so hard because he'd been trying to catch that rabbit forever, and he could never, ever catch him. But now he did, and he laughed a good laugh about it. He laughed until he felt good. And then he walks up to Brer Rabbit and looks at him. He says, "You know what, Brer Rabbit? I got you this time. Maybe I ain't, but I expect I have. You're all tangled up there. And I'm trying to think of what it is I'm going to do with you, Brer Rabbit. I think maybe I'll get me a big pot of water, and I'll boil it up, and I'll throw you into it." And old Brer Rabbit, he knew he was in trouble. Oh, he knew he was in trouble now. He had to think real fast, and he did. He thought really fast. And then he starts to talk really fast, too. And he says, "Brer Fox, you can cook up some water and boil it up, and you can throw me right in, and you can boil it and cook me up, but please, whatever you do, don't throw me over there in that briar patch." Well, old Brer Fox, he wanted to hurt that rabbit. Oh, he'd been trying to get him for such a long time. And he looks at him, he says, "Brer Rabbit, maybe I won't boil you. Maybe I'll get me a long rope, and I'll wrap it around your neck, and I'll take you over to that big tree over there, and I'll hang you." Oh, Brer Fox, you can hang me. You can hang me from the highest tree. You can boil me in the hottest water. But whatever you do, don't throw me over there in that briar patch. Well, that fox, he wanted to hurt him. Oh, he wanted to hurt him so bad. He thought about boiling him. He thought about hanging him. And then he looks at old Brer Rabbit. He says, "Oh, you know, I could boil you, and I could hang you. And maybe, well, what I'll do is I'll just take me a knife and I'll skin you." "Oh, skin me. Skin me up. Skin me. Boil me. Hang me. Do whatever you want, Brer Fox. But please, don't throw me over there in that briar patch." Well, that fox, he'd been trying to get that rabbit for a long time, he had. For a really long time. So he walks over to that rabbit, and he gets himself a big old stick, and he sticks it right in the Tar Baby. And then he grabs that rabbit by the ears, he does, and rip! You could just hear the hairs coming out of that rabbit. And he takes him out, and he gets him up, and he starts to swing him by his ears over the top of his head. And he swings him, and he swings him, and he swings him, and he throws him right on into the middle of that briar patch. And then there's all this noise, then this commotion, and that old fox, he's starting to smile now because he knows he's got him. He's got him in the briar patch, and the rabbit doesn't want to be in the briar patch, and it's got all this noise, and there's all this noise happening. He's looking, and he's smiling, and he's waiting, and then there's all this noise, and there's noise, and then all of a sudden, he hears something, but it's not in the briar patch. He hears somebody yelling at him on a hill up over his shoulder, right up there. And he knew right then and there that he'd been fooled again. Because there was old Brer Rabbit standing up on top of that hill with a chip of wood, combing that tar out of his hair, and he's just sitting on a log, and he's looking down and yelling back some of his sass, and he says, "Hey, you! Hey, Brer Fox, yeah, you! I was born and bred in that briar patch. I was born and raised right there. I fooled you again. And with that, he skipped off as happy as could be towards that sun, feeling good about his day. And old Brer Fox, he just hung his head in shame, and, well, he'd have to wait till another day. And that, children, is the story of the wonderful Tar Baby. Well, I hope you had fun listening. And I hope you're doing everything you need to do, following all the instructions that your parents give you, listening to your teachers, learning everything you can while we get through this time. And we will get through this time, and there will be a day where I will see all of you again. We'll be able to laugh and tell stories and learn and have fun. Until that day, y'all be safe.